And joining us now is Joe DiGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. All-around good guy. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so obviously the big news, Kavanaugh, this Christine Blasey Ford has come forward. She talked to the Washington Post, and we know these allegations against Kavanaugh of sexual assault go back to high school, go back more than 30 years, and Chuck Schumer and Democrats calling for a delay in the confirmation. What's going to happen?
Well, the purpose of not bringing this forward until now was to do exactly what's happening, which is to delay the vote in committee, to depress Republican base for the upcoming election, and to depress Republican turnout. And that may very well turn out to be a brilliant strategy by the Democrats, because Republicans are never able to deal with things like this because they're not sleazy people like the Democrats are. But the bottom line is this. These accusations are over 30 years old. She can't remember the specific date. Whether or not she can remember the specific location is not clear. But if they are going to hold a hearing, which in order to keep wavering Republicans, they may have to, they're going to have to bring her in, and they're going to have to bring her in quickly. She's going to have to be asked a lot of unsavory questions, because that's the nature of this beast. Who else was there? Who were the other attendees? Where did it occur? Did she tell her parents? Did she tell anybody else? She says she never told anybody. How convenient. And now, as a lefto Democrat from California, she brings this out. If the Republicans do not confirm Judge Kavanaugh, they will lose the Senate. I want to repeat this one more time. If the Republicans do not confirm Judge Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court, they will lose the Senate, and it will not be by a small margin. They will depress their own base by this. If they don't know how to fight, if they don't end this, this will be the end of the Republican Party in the Senate for years to come.
You know, Joe, it's Hans von Spakovsky here. Look, you and I are both former Justice Department lawyers. I mean, no prosecutor would take this case. I mean, it's not only that these charges are 30 years old, she can't remember the details, but none of this has ever been brought up before. There were no contemporaneous complaints at the time. The one supposed witness she cites says it never happened. And on the other side of this, we've got the person being accused went through, I counted up 6 full field FBI investigations, and nothing like this ever came up. And more importantly, nothing ever came up from any other woman making a similar claim. In fact, all the women who have testified or sent in letters to the committee say the exact opposite about his character.
I agree 100%. And the problem, however, is not with the facts or the idiocy of this charge. It is with Republicans. There are Republican senators who say they want more time. That is the problem. This is the nature of the beast. It is a Republican problem. They don't know how to fight. When you have a clown like Jeff Flake who says he's not sure now, you know what? The wrong person died in Arizona. I mean, unbelievable that he can get away with this stuff. But you know what? They only have a 1-vote majority. And thanks to Steve Bannon, we got Roy Moore as our Republican nominee in Alabama, and we lost that seat at the wrong time in history. Thank you, Steve Bannon, for giving us one less Republican vote. We have to keep Collins and Murkowski. If they start asking questions and they want to be, and they want answers, there's no way this goes forward. And if it doesn't go forward and he's not confirmed, the Republicans will lose the Senate. It's as simple as that. If I were Grassley, I would hold a hearing very quickly, put the woman on, and I would allow Murkowski and Collins, who are not members of the committee, to sit in on the hearing and ask questions. And if the Democrats objected to that, I would call them out of order. I don't know if the Republicans have the stomach to do what they need to do. They just are so unreliable in oversight and confirmation hearings.
That's very true. I agree with you. They are definitely gutless. Here's the thing that bothers me about that, and I didn't realize this, that Dianne Feinstein sat on this because the Democrats and Dianne Feinstein felt it was too old, it was too unsubstantiated, there was really nothing to this.
That's nonsense.
And the only reason we know about this is because Ryan Grimm of The Intercept somehow found out about the existence of the letter and reported on it. Dianne Feinstein had no intention of making this public.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. She had every intention of delaying the release of this. She gave it to people. the Congresswoman, Congressman Eshoo have it. This was inevitably going to be released. All this nonsense about it not being released is just utter crap. They wanted this out, but they wanted it out late. They got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, but Congresswoman Eshoo had it first and gave it to Dianne Feinstein, from what I understand.
Which means that a lot of people had it.
Okay.
And so the question of not wanting to release it, Feinstein's trying to cover her fanny. She's saying that now because she doesn't want to look like a bad person, but she's thrilled. Believe me, this helps her reelection effort in an amazing way. It makes her look like she's responsible for doing the right thing, quote unquote, for her base. Believe me, once you get a letter like this in a Supreme Court confirmation with a Republican president and a Republican nominee, you think this isn't going to come out? Give me a break.
Yeah. No, it's interesting how it's following the same lines of Anita Hill as well, because the allegations...
Isn't it, though? Character assassination at the last minute. Well, this is another lynching. Got a nice Catholic guy with a family. They're going to lynch him, too. They're going to do it at a small school in suburban Montgomery County. They're going to lynch him at a prep school. If the Republicans do not stand up to this, they are going to lose the Senate. It is really simple equation.
No, I think you're right, and I share the fear that you have that the Republicans aren't gutsy enough to be able to actually stand up to this, and they always take the high road, and they wind up on their high road, moral high ground alone as losers, and that's the problem.
Yep.
Let's go to Manafort's plea. We're gonna hold you over, Joe, if you don't mind, because I want to talk to you about Manafort's plea here.
Great.
And are the guns from Mueller? We're gonna ask you: Are Mueller's guns slowly turning towards the Democrat with rumors of Greg Craig lawyering up? So we're gonna talk to you about all of that coming up. We've got more with Joe DiGenova in just a minute. Here it's 7:15. I'm Mary Walter here with Hans von Spakovsky and Joe DiGenova. Joe, Paul Manafort pled guilty in this second trial would have happened in Washington, D.C. I'm seeing a lot of headlines, though, saying this is bad news for Trump, bad news for Trump. He should be worried. Do you agree?
No, it's not bad news for Trump. It's bad news for Tony Podesta and Gregory Craig. Tony Podesta, as you know, had to shut his firm about a year ago after it was revealed that he had not registered as a foreign agent as a result of doing work for and with Paul Manafort and the Manafort people. Manafort used Democrats throughout the process to assist his Ukrainian client to smear Ukrainian politicians. Tony Podesta was at the heart of that effort, along with Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS, interestingly enough, who will be witnesses in whatever Carter Page lawsuits are going to be filed by whoever represents him. Gregory Craig is in deep trouble. He's lawyered up because they're looking at him for failing to register for the same series of transaction and issues involving Ukraine. He says his lawyers are said publicly, well, he didn't have to register. Well, yes, he did. And whether or not they'll charge Gregory Craig, sort of an iconic Democratic lawyer, God forbid a Democrat should ever get in trouble. We'll see. I think Podesta and Craig are probably in very, very serious legal trouble.
But if I remember correctly, and I just looked it up, and Tucker Carlson also reported this in July, that Tony Podesta was given immunity by Mueller.
He was not.
He was not.
His case was passed on to other people in the department. He was not given. They said he was, but he was not.
Okay, good to know. So this has now been referred to the Southern District then?
Some of it has, some of it's at Main Justice as well. It's very difficult to tell, but it's under active investigation. The Manafort plea shows that the matter is not going away, and it's pretty clear that Manafort has agreed to cooperate against Podesta and Craig and other people, including Glenn Simpson and others, because they used Fusion GPS and other cutout companies to create the smear information to funnel back into the Ukraine, which is exactly what they did against Carter Page. They created fake stories in order to get FISA warrants to smear Carter Page. Carter Page is going to be a very, very rich man.
Joe, what I find, you hate to laugh about any of this, but these Democratic lawyers must rue the day that the special counsel now got appointed, because the history of the Justice Department when it comes to actually enforcing the federal law that requires registration if you're a foreign agent representing a foreign government is that they just haven't enforced that law for years, and now suddenly they are enforcing it, and it's all because of Paul Manafort.
Yes, it is. It's been a sort of a sleepwalking area of the law, and I may say there's been good reason not to enforce it the way it could have been used, because but in fact, a lot of people like Manafort used it improperly, made a lot of money, avoided taxes. I'm not in favor of that. But another horrible part of this is that there's a person named Sally Yates who used to be the Deputy Attorney General. And what she did was she went beyond FARA. She tried to accuse Michael Flynn of violating the Logan Act, and she used that to investigate him and get FISA stuff and used unmasking and the leaking of information about him. I'm fine with FARA being investigated, but I'm not going to be happy until Sally Yates is in a grand jury answering questions.
Well, she ought to be, particularly because the Logan Act, every legal expert knows that the Logan Act is unconstitutional, violation of the First Amendment, and there's never been a successful prosecution under it since the law was passed in, I think, 1799.
Yeah, and so where's Sally Yates on John Kerry's activity with the Iranians? Talk about a violation of the Logan Act. Where is she? I called down at King and Spalding the other day where she's a partner and left a message for her. Let's see, I'm counting. 6 days and no answer from Aunt Sally.
I don't think you're going to get an answer.
So, Joe, do you honestly, in your heart of hearts, think that the Mueller investigation will actually turn towards Democrats? Do you honestly think that they're going to go down that path? Well,
not in a big way. I mean, they have to do the obvious stuff, like the stuff involving Podesta and others, but they're not going to dig in on Democrats. How are you going to do that when you have almost all Democrats on your prosecution staff? Weissman's a nutbag Democrat from Brooklyn. He used to work for Bob Mueller. I mean, he was known to be an abysmal, abusive, unethical prosecutor in Brooklyn. He had all kinds of complaints filed against him with the New York bar. When you have people like that, he shows up at Hillary Clinton's victory party on election night and sobs with the rest of them. There will be no serious effort to go after Democrats. They're doing the obvious fruit, the low-hanging fruit on the tree, which is Podesta and Gregory Craig. Other than that, this is a walkaway. I mean, Mueller's an embarrassment. He all this nonsense about him being such a great guy and all this. You look at what he did in Boston when he allowed 4 men to be unlawfully convicted of crimes they didn't commit, and then fought the release of the evidence which would prove their innocence. The United States government ended up paying $116 million to those 4 men in civil settlements. And where was Bob Mueller? Smack dab in the middle of it, and nothing happened to him. The same thing's going to happen here. He's going to act like a thug. He's going to be praised by Republicans and Democrats, and he's going to walk away with a golden parachute.
All right. Well, Joe, you always you make these predictions and they seem to always come true. I'm going to get you to you're going to have to get me some lottery numbers.
I'm going to get you my crystal ball.
All right, Joe. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Have a
Bye-bye.
great week. 7:22 on WMAL.